Hi, today we're going to talk about vaginal yeast infections and how to get rid of them forever. Nah, just kidding. I'm going to talk to you about Fortress Feud 101, how we're going to completely dominate Fortress Feud and crush the competition. Alright, first rule of Fortress Feud is don't leave early, okay? So if you don't know what that means, just delay. If the guild leader hasn't told you, hey, you're the very first person going out, don't go out when it starts. If you do, you'll absolutely screw up the whole thing. So one of the most important things of this whole thing is that everybody has the discipline not to leave early. It's absolutely the most critical thing in the entire thing because the first 30 to 60 seconds is a race. The second rule is don't leave early. Again, I can't emphasize that enough. One person can screw the entire thing up, so it's super duper critical that you completely understand it. So I'm repeating it a second time. When the clock hits go, do not go unless you know you're the first person out, and the guild leader will tell you if you're the first person out. Okay, now the very best 3 teams are going to go out first, and the reason why is because the first 60 seconds is a race. Basically, it's a race to gobble up territory. Because once we gobble up the territory in the first 60 seconds, defending it is fairly simple. Okay? So, first I want to explain to you the difference between a team and an account. Okay? Each account has 3 different teams that they can use. So it's important to know. So you could have an account that has 170,000 might and have a quote-unquote powerful account, but if your teams are bad PvP teams, if you get smoked and lost battlefield, then it doesn't mean anything. Okay, so when we talk about teams versus accounts, and we talk about the best teams, that's the 6 hero teams. That's the best team that you field. Usually in Lost Battlefield is a great indicator. So if you think of your six hero dream team with Lost Battlefield, you know, maybe it's a Revite 5 Ares protected by Valentina with SK and Gulam and you know, a couple others, you know, to refill health and destroy the competition. Like for example, I have one Lost Battlefield team that never loses. You know, it's an SK. I have a Dread Drake who stuns right away. I have a Revite 5 Ares who goes nuts, and then my Valentina is Revite 5, so that protects against an opposing Ares. My SK takes down the other SK if they have one because my Ares procs. And then I have, actually I don't even think I use Gulam in that one. I think I use Grimfiend. Anyway, you know who your best 6 are. Because I've heard people say, well, I should make 3 teams that are evenly balanced. That's actually not true. What you want to do is you want to make one team that absolutely dominates. Because one team that absolutely dominates can run through 20 or 30 opposing teams, whereas 3 average teams will probably only go through 1 or 2 maybe at best. And this game mode is won by the top players burning through a ton of different teams and just destroying the competition. Okay? So each account gets 3 teams at a time. Okay, so once your team goes down in flames, you can go make another team, and you can make as many as you want. You can only have 3 at a time. Each team is made up of 1 to 6 heroes. Okay? Now there are 2 roles in this strategy that we're talking about. So there's 2 different roles. One role are studs, and the other role are spammers. Now, these roles are team-specific, not account-specific. Okay, it's really important to understand this. It's team-specific, not account-specific. So if I have one, like I have one really good team that I can put together that'll rival all except, you know, maybe the top, you know, double Evo, you know, crazy teams. That's my one great team. All the rest of my teams are going to be spammers. So I'm going to run one really good team with my account, and then the other 2 teams I'm going to run spam, okay? And maybe you have a really, really strong account. Maybe you can field 2 stud teams and 1 spammer team. And if you don't have a stud team, there's nothing wrong with running 3 spammer teams because the spammer teams actually win the war, okay? So if you're pissed because your teams all suck and you're a spammer, don't be, because spammers win the war. In this strategy, spammers are the most important part of the whole thing. And when you see your spammers burn up 10 seconds of clock against an opposing double Evo crazy team, you can laugh your way all the way to the chest rewards at the end where you get really cool stuff. All right? So There are 4 possible starting spots. Okay, so I'm going to explain each starting spot. Now, each strategy is the same with each starting spot. It's just flipped and inverted. Okay, so remember, we'll have 3 teams that go out first. Okay, there'll be a green team, an orange team, and a yellow team that'll go out first. Now, all the different accounts will be divided into 3 groups of accounts. Okay, so there'll be a group of people that are green, a group of people that are orange, and a group of people that are yellow. All right, and I'll explain how that works next. Each team will have one person who has the most jacked PvP ass-kicking team in the history of Castle Clash going first. It's super important that within these 3, we'll call them squads, that the very best of the best goes first. It's important that they get to the objective first, okay? Because holding the objective is much easier than capturing the objective. Now, if you are not that person, remember, rule number 1, don't leave early. It's super critical. All right, now here's what the map looks like. Now, if you see here, we're starting, this is showing us starting hypothetically in the upper left corner. Now, the green team always goes either up or down and then heads towards the middle. The middle objective has the most points, so the very strongest and best PvP team that can get there the fastest should be green number 1. That person's going to go down 2 spaces or up 2 spaces, depending on the starting point, and across to the middle, and then 1 past the middle. Okay? Now, the reason we go 1 past the middle, it minimizes the amount of spots that we have to defend. With this strategy, we only have to hold 5 spots to dominate the map and to absolutely ensure victory. There's only 5 different places you can be attacked if we hold this area right here. Now, it doesn't mean that things won't happen and really awesome teams won't want to expand territory. They can if they want, but this is the territory we have to take right away. Okay, so green team is going to go in this, if we start in the upper left-hand corner, green team is going to go down 2 spaces, and the way it's going to work is the very number 1 best person in the entire guild is going to be green team number 1. He or she is going to go down 2 spaces and then across. Now, what you're going to see when that person starts is you're going to see flashing swords. So you can see right here when the space has flashing swords over it, and I'm going to show you that in a couple minutes, that means they're fighting in that space. Don't jump into that space until they move to the next space. So what you'll see them do, green team number 1 will go down 1 space. Then they'll be flashing swords. They'll go down another space. They'll be flashing swords. Once they go down into the second space, the next wave of people that go after that are your really good A teams, okay? So it's not the spam yet. It's the good A teams. They'll follow in behind 1 space. And then what'll happen next is once they've taken a turn and head to the middle, the spammers need to overload that first red box with spam defense. Okay, so that's where you're going to put a spam team is 1 hero and 1 hero only. Whoops, I didn't mean to go back. Hang on, I just accidentally did that. Let me see if I can go back. Okay, so green team is going to go down 2 spaces and across. So it's the very best of the best first. Then it's the next best team second, and then it's spammers third. Okay, so spammers, you want to load those 3 boxes that you see on the green path with troops. Okay, so we should have 20 spam teams in each of those boxes at any given time. And here's what the math is. If we have 20 single unit teams in those boxes, it takes about 10 seconds for a spam team to get killed, for a spam hero to get killed as a team. Well, 20, that if you could take 20 times 10, that's 200 seconds. Okay, that's over 3 minutes. That's 3 minutes and 20 seconds. So what happens is 3 minutes and 20 seconds is plenty of time to reinforce with more spam. Okay, so every spam account can have a hero that's level 100 or higher. You can only use level 100 or higher heroes in this game mode. Okay, and I do believe that Evo and double Evo heroes don't have to be 100 and they still count. All right, so now the next team is the orange team. Now the orange team is going to zigzag. If we start in the upper left-hand corner, they're going to go 1 to the right, 1 down, 1 to the right, 1 down, and then over. Okay? And then the yellow team is going to go 1 to the right, 1 down, and then over 2. It's really important not to take that third space. If you look to the right, if the upper left is the starting point, it's really important not to take that top tower in the middle. The reason why is that tower becomes a trap. We trap the people into, so this upper right hand guild, whoever they are going to send troops into that tower, and they're going to try and attack that spot that's one away from our base, which is the easiest spot to defend, because we can keep sending spam, and it only has to go one square over, and that becomes a trap for the opposing team. So we want to leave that alone. Let them have it, okay? At both times we've done this strategy, the other team has loaded up 30, 40, 50 teams in that space, and they've just stuck there. And once they're stuck there, they're stuck. They can't move anywhere. Okay, and I'm going to show you how not to get stuck in just a couple minutes. Okay, so that's the strategy if we start in the upper left-hand corner. Now let's talk about the upper right-hand corner. The pattern is still the same. Okay, upper right-hand corner, the green team goes down 2 spaces to the middle and across to the center square and 1 past. So they're always going up or down, never left to right, the green team is, and they're always cutting across to the middle and going 1 space past the middle. Okay? Now the reason we go 1 space past the middle, again, if you look at the map, that means that we're only having to defend that 1 space, and there's only 1 point of attack, instead of if we went, let's say, 1 more space down, then you have 3 different places that you can be attacked from. It's like minimizing the amount of places that we can be attacked from. Okay? Now in this example, if you're on the orange team, you go left 1, down 1, left 1, down 1, left. So that's the path. And then the yellow team goes left 1, down 1, and across 3. Same pattern. Okay, now the next pattern is from the lower right hand corner. If we start in the lower right, the green team goes up 2 and then across to the middle and 1 past. The orange team zigzags to their pattern. Left 1, up 1, left 1, up 1, left. The yellow team goes left, up, and left 3. Now, if you're a spammer, it's super important that you focus on your path. So let's say I have 1 good team, and I have 2 spammer teams. I want to keep an eye on the yellow path. I want to look at the number. I'm constantly throughout the process of Fortress Feud looking at these spaces, seeing how many teams are there, and moving my single unit troops to those places to create a logjam so that the opposing forces can't come in and take those spaces. And the heaviest concentration of spam troops should be in those red boxes. Okay, those are the ones we want to defend. If we defend those 5 spots, we win the war automatically, hands down. But see, we only have to defend 5 spots, but in defending those 5 spots, we control 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 objective points, including the middle, which is the most valuable objective point. Now let's go to the lower left. If we start at the lower left, the green team goes up 2 spaces and over to the right, to the middle, 1 past. The orange team goes right 1, up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1. And the yellow team goes right 1, up 1, and across 3. So the yellow team's job, if you're assigned to the yellow team, is to make sure that yellow line is defended all the way across. Especially that first space. That first space that's right next to the home base is the most critical one of the whole thing. If we lose that thing, we lose the whole war. But it's also the easiest space to maintain because it's only 1 away from base. 2 or 3 people can spam consistently from the home base and keep that spot locked down. It's the easiest one to lock down. It's also the most important to lock down. Okay? Now, let's talk about movement. The spaces look like this. To move, you press the team number 1, 2, or 3, and then you press the square you want to go to. And then if you want to look at a space, and the lower part of the circle is going to be an eyeball, and that eyeball, when you press it, you get to look and see what the deal is with that space and see how many units from each team are in that conflicted space. Now, this is super important. This strategy is only good for the first 60 seconds. After that, you have to be aware of the map and you have to play the game. So, there's 2 things you got to know. If you see flashing swords and you put your troops there, your troops are now stuck there. They go in line. So if you go into a space that has conflict, that has flashing swords, you're stuck. Now, sometimes that's a good thing. If we're running low on troops and you want to send your spam to that place and stick them in there, that's great. That's a really good thing. If you're not sure, whoops, hold on. If you're not sure, where you want to put your troops, but you want to kind of have them hanging out close to the front, but not stuck in those spaces. So there's two reasons why you'd want to stay in spaces that aren't contested. It gives you mobility. So if you have a really badass team and you don't want it to get stuck at the end of a line of 20 spam heroes, stay in spots that are already occupied. You can move from those spots and then move strategically. So if I see that we're battling and I want to stay one back of the battle, because that still allows me the flexibility to move around the map, but I'm also close to where the battle is in case I need to jump in. I'm only one space away. I can do that. Okay, so it's good to maintain flexibility, especially if you have a stud team. Your stud teams, you don't want them stuck unless you're putting them into battle. The stud teams need to be fighting, not stuck in the back of the line 20 or 30 back in a row. Okay, if you stick your studs in the back of a 20 or 30 row, they're doing no good whatsoever. Okay, all right. Each spam battle lasts 9 to 10 seconds. Okay, so it's important that you place your spam hero furthest to the back to make it 10 or 11 seconds. Don't put them in the front, put them in the back. And it doesn't matter what they are. Actually, the squishier they are, the better. Because the amount of time that gets burned is burned in the countdown and the run-up. It's not the actual battle itself. So I heard somebody on the chat board say, oh, well, I'm going to use really awesome heroes for my single hero spam. No, don't do that. Save your really awesome heroes if we need a really awesome hero team. Send out your crap heroes for spam. Level 100, level 120s, whatever. They don't have to be good, and really they shouldn't be good. Because if we run low on big-ass, awesome stud teams, maybe your team that you've been saving needs to be a stud team, and you can send out a half-decent team. Okay? Super important. Now, if you see in a space, we're down to 5 spam teams on a space, so the defense is running low. That means we have 5 times 10. We have about 50 seconds to get reinforcements there. So it's really important that you stay focused on what's happening with your group, and your job is to defend that line that you're assigned to. So you want to keep sending out troops. As soon as a troop dies, you want to send out another one and keep the flow going the entire time. Okay? Every 20 minutes, you get a reset and you get all your heroes back. Okay? So the first 20 minutes, after 20 minutes, they figure out what the tally of the score is. After 20 minutes, you get all your heroes back and it keeps going. And the battle keeps going, but you get refreshed on your heroes. Okay, so keep that in mind. If your stud team goes down in 15 minutes, that's okay. You get them back after 20. And then after 20, send them out and kick some ass. All right? And then you get your spam heroes back after 20 minutes as well. And then 40 minutes in is another reset. Again, 20 minutes later, it resets. It tallies the score. And then you get all your heroes back. And then at 60 minutes, it tallies the final score based on the score from those 3 points. Okay? So, do not send out crappy teams of 6 heroes. I've seen this before. Somebody will send out 6 crappy heroes. All that does, 6 crappy heroes, is fuels healing for other better teams, making them much harder to kill. I saw a really good team last time just like load up and heal on a crappy 6-person team, and then it took 15 or 20 more units to kill the person because that person healed them, and they were low on health. They were next to dying, okay? So don't send out 6-person teams that are crappy. All right, so let me recap. The object is to race to these points and hold them. Okay, and once we race to these points and we hold them, then keep your eyes open, keep defending, and watch the map. Watch where the other people are attacking. Make sure that spammers have plenty of spam heroes in the spaces that are needed. Also, if let's say if you see that we have 30 spam heroes in a space, maintain your flexibility with your spam heroes too. Stay one back from the front. Don't go into the clashing swords and be the 50th one when we only have 5 in another space. So it's really important to maintain flexibility of movement throughout this. Remember, flashy swords equals your stock. If it's a space we already occupy, then you can move from that space anytime you want. As soon as that space goes back into conflict, you can no longer move. Now you're in line again. Okay, so keep that in mind. I've done this strategy with 2 different guilds. Both guilds finished in the top 20 overall. So both were top 20 out of over 1,500 guilds. This totally works. Now let's talk about numbers. Like other guild-wide events, numbers are huge. If only 20 or 25 people show up, it doesn't matter what your strategy is, you're going to get smoked. Ideally, you want to have at least 60 people and 3 teams of 20. If you have 3 teams of 20, that's a great number, because let's just say out of 3 teams of 20, you got 25 really good, solid stud teams out of those 20 accounts. And what that gives you is that gives you, let's see, it gives you 20, 40, it gives you 35 spam teams amongst those 20. So if you have 60 people, and let's just say 75 of those teams from the 60 people are good stud teams, then what that gives you, if you look at the math, let's see, 75 teams would be 60, let's see, 60 if everybody has 2. It's like 100, between 100 and 120 spam teams. Now, if you look at the amount of time that 100 spam teams can kill, again, if you go 10 seconds per spam team, and then you take 100 spam teams, it's 100 times 10. That is 1,000 seconds, which is a lot of time. 60, that's 10, that's like 15 minutes. Okay, done deal. So numbers are super important. So hope to see you there. The rewards for this make it well worth it. And this is just a blast. I think this is the funnest game mode they've come out with yet. All right, so let's kick ass. And I want to leave you with this inspirational video.